Good morning, DFS Army. It's Craig Ben, aka Cash Keg, here for another NBA First Look podcast on Saturday, March 13th, 2021. We got a nice 7-game slate on tap. We got an earlier game that starts at, I believe it's 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but it's not going to be on the main slate. We're just going to talk about the main slate here. It starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, nice 7-gamer for Saturday. Boy, it's a crazy night last night in NBA. Hope Embiid is okay. It looks like he's going to be out a couple weeks, but boy, that fall he had and he hyperextended that leg, man. Oh, that did not look good. But yeah, there's another slate, another day. Again, weekend basketball. It's always a lot going on. But hey, that doesn't mean we can't take advantage of it and win some money. So let's just dive right into this. But before that, if you like these videos, hit that thumbs up button for me, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload these videos. And let's just dive right into this bad boy. All right. First game on tap. We have Detroit at Brooklyn. Looks like we have a 228 over under. Brooklyn favored by 11. On Detroit side, Diallo is now a Detroit Piston. If you didn't know that, he got traded. He is not going to play this game. Dennis Smith Jr. is out as well. And on the Brooklyn side, no Kevin Durant, no Blake Griffin yet, and no Luau Cabarro is doubtful. So that's injury consideration for this game. I think the first thing we can look at here, and like we've talked about it, I'm going to build, again, if you're new to the podcast, I'm going to build sample DraftKings lineup as we kind of go through and talk about the slate. I'll also build a FanDuel one at the end of the show as well if you're a FanDuel guy, but I'll also talk about FanDuel pricing as we go through things. So we'll do those, and I'll talk about injury news and totals and all that. So we'll just hammer through this thing. But the first thing we can talk about here, I think as always, is Bigs against Brooklyn. Mason Plumlee, I think we got to talk about him a little bit here. He's priced at $6,200 on DraftKings, $6,100 on FanDuel. Great spot for him. I think we can take advantage of him, but the minutes really haven't been high over the last few games. 25, 28, 28, 20, 27. I liked him when he was up playing 34 and 33 minutes. With the minutes down a little bit, it worries me a little bit, but you know, he's been a 1.07 fantasy points per minute over the season. And again, Bigs against Brooklyn, it's been like this for a couple years now, and I think you can definitely look there. I'm going to throw him in this lineup, but I just wanted to kind of say that there's a little bit of a concern there with him. Just always makes me a little bit nervous when a guy's not getting over 30 minutes and he's starting to get that price over $6K. So a little bit of a concern there. And again, on the other side, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, they're going to lead the way. They'll have all the usage in the world. There's no reason not to play him. Again, Harden is 10-9 on DraftKings, 11-8 on FanDuel. But again, I think you can easily play one of these guys on a slate this large. If I'm leaning one, I'm always going to lean Harden. Irving went off last game against Boston. I feel like this is more of a Harden game, especially when they're getting this close in price on DraftKings at $1,200. I would lean Harden. I'm going to throw him in this lineup as we go on the other side. But again, Jeremy Grant, $7,700 on DraftKings, $7,400 on FanDuel. I like them both. That's basically where I would stick on this. If you want to play some DeLon Wright at $5,500 on DraftKings, where is he on FanDuel? $6,100 on FanDuel. Don't really like that price. They just can do a lot of things. I'm not a big fan of what they're doing in Detroit right now. It's just kind of a mess. It's just Grant and Plumlee for me. I'm not going to mess around with all this other crap. They can play guys a bunch of minutes. Saban Lee, Smith. I'm not going to mess with it on a slate this large. It's Harden, Irving, Grant, or Plumlee, and that's it. And I'm moving on. Let's move on to the next game here, where we have Toronto at Charlotte. 231 over under. Charlotte favored by 2.5. On the Toronto side, still no OG Anunoby, no Patrick McCaw, no Fred VanVleet, no Pascal Siakam, and no Flynn. So Charlotte's healthy. Toronto, not so much. So we're going to get all the Lowry we can handle. We're going to get all the Powell. Powell's still only 7,300 on DraftKings, which is stupid cheap still. The dude's been on absolute fire. He's been 7,600 on FanDuel. Going to play all the minutes he can handle. I love playing him. No doubt about it. He's going to be in my lineup here. Same with Lowry. I don't mind playing both of them. So even if you don't want to play Harden, I have no problem going back to doing a Lowry Powell combo. I love we can play Powell there. And then one other guy we can look at on the Toronto side that's been crushing lately is actually Aaron Baines. He's 3,900 on FanDuel, 4,500 on DraftKings. Been getting the start, playing 30 and 29 minutes over his last two, 34 and 31 DraftKings points. That's a guy we can look at. I would say more so on FanDuel at 3,900, super cheap. But it's not, a stupid tag on DraftKings either. I think we could easily play him either. So I don't even mind playing up to 4 Toronto guys on here. They're pretty good about giving their guys extremely heavy minutes. And if they're going to continue to do that with the rotations that they run, we know where the production is going to go. They're a real easy team to figure out. It's Lowry, it's Powell, it's Boucher, and then Baines is just a cheap guy. Bembry's been getting the start for them as well. He's priced right down here at 3,800. 37 minutes last game, 23 fantasy points. Again, he's just kind of a treasury piece for me. Like, I'm not super excited to play him. So it's Lowry, it's Powell, and then again, a little Aaron Baines in your life isn't going to hurt anything. So I don't mind running a Plumlee Baines stack here. And again, like I said, I don't even mind if you wanted to run Boucher in here. 6,600, put up a 50 burger against Atlanta in 30 minutes. So if you wanted to play all 4 of those guys, I think you could. Very, very, very playable here. And the problem is Boucher is a center. So, you're playing Plumlee, Boucher, and actually Boucher might have a bigger upside than Plumlee just with the minutes. Boucher for the season has been 1.27 fantasy points per minute. And we figure he's going to get probably similar minutes to Plumlee. And Plumlee's been a little bit less fantasy points per minute, but, probably maybe a better matchup. But again, I like both of them. So on FanDuel, it's nice because he's power forward. Boucher's only 6,700 on FanDuel. So it's nice you can run Lowry at point guard, Norman Powell at small forward, Boucher at power forward, and Aaron Baines at center. And I have no problem with that on FanDuel. When we get to that, I'll build those lineups. But again, we'll move Powell out of here. And again, you could do this. I don't mind running 4 guys like this. And for this lineup, let's just do it. I think if you're going to take one guy out, it'd be Kyle Lowry. And the reason to do that is because his price. I think Powell, Boucher, and Baines all can crush their price. I'm not saying Lowry can't get there, but he needs to get me a 50 burger before I get any kind of excitement around. So if you're going to fade one guy, for me, it'd probably be Lowry. But, Lowry and Powell can both put up 50 plus easily. Again, they're the whole team. So on the Charlotte side a little bit, let's look at that. We've talked about Toronto, don't get me wrong, Toronto's been horrendous defensively. They are not the same team when Kawhi Leonard was there. So let's just get that right. If you haven't been watching a lot of basketball this year, they are not the same team here. So on the Charlotte side, LaMelo Ball is priced at 8,600 on DraftKings, 8,800 on FanDuel. I don't really like that tag, but he's going to continue to start. So if you want to look there, Gordon Hayward, 7,200 on DraftKings, 7,300 on FanDuel. I don't mind that price tag on him. On FanDuel, it's kind of fun to run both Powell and Hayward. I don't mind looking that way. PJ Washington, 6,700 on DraftKings, 6,100 on FanDuel. I like that tag better on FanDuel. Not so much on DraftKings. It's a little expensive for me. I think the only guys I'm looking for in DraftKings, but again, are you going to play Kyle Lowry, or maybe you want to run it back with LaMelo Ball and hope he puts up a 50 burger, over his last 4, 26, 39, 60, and 49. The problem is Devontae Graham is back in the rotation. Even though he's coming off the bench, it's going to take a little bit off of Ball's ceiling and minutes. So I'm just going to stick with Lowry here and not really touch these guys in this lineup. But Hayward would be the one guy that I would look at, and specifically for FanDuel, but even on DraftKings if you wanted to a little bit. And I'm not going to touch the rest of these guys. This rotation is a lot bigger. They spread the minutes out a little bit more. I don't think we need to go there at all, honestly. So yeah, let's just head on to the next game. Milwaukee at Washington. We have a 239.5 over under. Milwaukee favored by 11. It looks like Davis Bertans is questionable. I think he hurt his shoulder last game. They're on a back-to-back. And he did not end up finishing that game, and he is questionable. Again, he's just a 3-point shooter anyways. I never get too excited about playing him. But on the Milwaukee side, like we've always talked about, they are completely healthy. So it's Giannis, Middleton, Holiday. Giannis is 11K on DraftKings, 11.3 on FanDuel, 8K for Middleton on DraftKings, 7.5 on FanDuel. So I like the FanDuel pricing a little bit more there. Drew Holiday, 6,100 on FanDuel is cheap. He does not have a minutes limit anymore. 6,500 on DraftKings. Excuse me, played 2 days ago, played 25 minutes, put up 23 fantasy points. I still think there's some meat left on a bone playing against Washington. I don't mind taking some chances with him. We should see, his minutes creep up to the, maybe the low 30s here. problem is just Washington is a horrible, horrible, horrible team. And how close is this game actually going to stay? So then I guess you could look at some Bobby Portis in your life, 4,100 on DraftKings, 4,300 on FanDuel. I don't mind looking at him a little bit. He needs them to get the minutes to crush there. But again, 1.11 fantasy points per minute. If it gets out of hand, maybe we can see some Bobby Portis just actually smash. And maybe this is the 40-burger game. I mean, it's not – Washington's horrible. If I'm going to look at some guys, it's probably going to be him. Not going to take too many chances of DiVincenzo, Lopez, these guys like that. I'm going to live there. So I'm going to throw Bobby Portis in this lineup. This is a YOLO lineup. I can throw him at power forward. He's cheap. Say, hey, they're going to crush. Just know, if you're playing Bobby Portis, you're either going to win a GPP or that lineup's trash. Just keep that in mind. Over on the Washington side, again, they are on a back-to-back here. They just do not look good, man. Bradley Beal, 10-3 on FanDuel, 9-4 on DraftKings. Westbrook, 10-2 on DraftKings, 10-1 on FanDuel. I can't do it. You beat the Milwaukee's from the three-point line. So if you're going to take a shot on anybody, Bradley Beal will be my man. But I don't think this is the kind of slate I need any of these guys, especially on a back-to-back. Raul Neto, 4,400. I don't think I want any part of that. Denny, I don't think I want part of that. Like, Scott Brooks is just going to run a bunch of dudes out here against Milwaukee team that I'm not excited about playing against. So to me, this is almost a full fade, unless you want to take a shot on Beal in tournaments and hopefully his shot falls and he can crush. But I don't want Westbrook going to the rim against Milwaukee. So just going to fade that completely. Let's just move on to the next game here. Sacramento at Atlanta. Atlanta favored by 3.5, 239.5 over under. Looks like Hassan Whiteside is still out. Chris Dunn is still out. And that's about it for injury news for this game. Great matchup to get on. Good high total here, close spread. I think this is a game you kind of want to attack out of all the games here. It's just like look at the pricing and see if there's any value in this game. So De'Aaron Fox is 8,700 on FanDuel, which I like that price. DraftKings 9,200 is way priced up. But again, going up against Atlanta, I take some shots at that. Halliburton's back in our lives, man. Our boy Halliburton, man. Played 2 nights ago, only 18 minutes, 13 fantasy points. But, he's the kind of guy, after a little bit, like if he's still going to be limited on minutes, I don't have any, use for him. I like when he was playing mid 30 minutes off the bench and they're running those 3-guard rotations. That's kind of what I like to see a little bit more. I don't think we're going to see that here. So it's hard to pay that, especially on FanDuel. 7,300 is super expensive. I need the minutes out of him. I love the kid as a player. Great rookie. Great pickup by them. Too bad Luke Walton is coaching this team and he needs fired. We'll leave it at that. Buddy Hield, 6,500 on FanDuel, 6,600 on DraftKings. Tournaments only. Just so much of a shooter, but it's going to play heavy minutes. Harrison Barnes, very similar. 6,700 on FanDuel, 6,400 on DraftKings. I take that back. 6,800 on DraftKings. These guys are a little priced up. I don't really like these prices on Barnes, Fox, Hield. Just expensive, Rashawn Holmes, 6,400 on DraftKings, 6,700 on FanDuel. I don't think we're going to go there. There's too many other good centers to play. So after looking at this whole thing for a good matchup, I think you take your shots at Fox, honestly, and maybe a little bit of Hield, and that's it. I'm just not so excited about it. Let's look on the Atlanta side, see if we can find anything here. Atlanta, 121 implied team total. Trae Young's been balling lately. 9K on FanDuel. Love that price on FanDuel. 9,800 on DraftKings is a little pricey for me, but if you look, minutes 37, 35, 33, 36 over his last 4. 52, 54, 38, 40. But those last 2 games been put up monster games here. And again, great matchup against Sacramento, who doesn't play good defense. I like some Trae Young, especially on FanDuel. A little expensive on DraftKings. I don't think I'm going to pay that price for him because at that price, you're looking at a 60-plus burger game, and I don't know. Sure, he could get there, but, I don't think you need to pay that. Harden's only a little bit more, and I'd rather just come down to Lowry. But if you were not going to play a Lowry, look at the Trae Youngs and the Foxes and stuff like that. If we're, like I talked about earlier, if you wanted to get off Lowry, those are the guys I would look to pivot towards. Yeah, again, this whole team, Gallinari off the bench, 5,700 on FanDuel, DraftKings 4,700 on FanDuel. More of a Fanduel play. I don't really like him on DraftKings very much. It's not a great price. These pricings on DraftKings, they just priced all these guys up. Capella at 7,500 is interesting against Sacramento. 7,500 on DraftKings, 8,300 on Fanduel. I don't mind if you want to take a shot on him on DraftKings. There's a lot of good center plays. On Fanduel, again, I don't think so. I think I'm paying down at the center position, so I'm doubt that I will get to that point. John Collins is always interesting, but again, with Capella there, they kind of eat each other's upside up, and Collins kind of gets screwed more than anybody. 6,500 on FanDuel or DraftKings, 7,200 on FanDuel. The thing with Collins at this price is 6,500. I would just much rather go to Boucher. The only thing is he is power forward eligible, but the upside isn't there. Like I need a 40 burger out of that, and I don't know if we're gonna get it. So for a game that has a high total, all these guys are priced about right, and I don't know if there's a ton of value to really take off this game on the DraftKings side. On FanDuel, I can make some cases at some guys, but on DraftKings, I don't love it so much. Let's head on to the next game. Portland at Minnesota. 234 over under. Portland favored by 4.5. Still no Harry Giles. Still no Nurkic. Still no McCollum. Culver is doubtful, and Jordan McLaughlin is out for Minnesota. Good old Minnesota. On Portland, Dame Lillard 10-7. No thank you, but the matchup is superb against this horrible Minnesota team. 9-9 on FanDuel. Super cheap. Love that. Enes Kanter, 6,800 on FanDuel. 7,200 on DraftKings. Again, just great. So many great center plays here. It's a two-center night. Let's just say that. After going through this, you're playing two centers in most lineups. In my utility, I'm going to have two centers. If I'm building 150 lineups tonight, I'm going to have two centers. Gary Trent Jr., 4,900 on FanDuel, 5,400 on DraftKings. Again, I have no problem playing him. The minutes are going to be there. This is a great team to attack. They are not a good team. So I look at Gary Trent Jr., Cancer. Little Rocco is hard to stomach, but he's going to play heavy minutes. 6,200 on FanDuel, 5,600 on DraftKings. I like these power forward eligible. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get there, though. Don't really love that price. Maybe on FanDuel where you got to play two of them, but not on DraftKings. So all these guys are tournament options. Nobody I'm going to shove in my cash games, but they're playing a horrible team. And if I was going to look at anyone, it's Lillard first by far, and then probably Trent, and then Cantor if I had to rank them. Over on the Minnesota side, again, new coach in town. Saunders is out, for the last few games here, so we can kind of see what the new coach is kind of leaning on, what he's been doing. Guy that's been balling a ton, which I think you got to take into consideration. Especially with no McLaughlin there, is Rubio's going to play a ton of minutes, but Noel's been the guy that's been crushing, man. 4,600 on DraftKings, 3,600 on FanDuel. Super cheap on FanDuel. I wish he was shooting guard eligible, not point guard, but 3,600 on FanDuel. The guy's just a scorer and been crushing. 28 minutes last game against New Orleans, put up 49 fantasy points. Yes, he shot 11 for 13. Don't expect that again. But even if he missed a few of those shots, he still would have got there. You're looking for about, 28 to 30 out of him, and he still would have got there if he missed a few shots. So the minutes are going to be there. I don't mind attacking him. Again, Portland's not a good defensive team. I don't mind playing him. I do like we can play him at shooting guard. We might throw him in this lineup, actually. I don't mind him. I didn't mind him last time. He was in the 3Ks. So I think the minutes will be there for him. I think Rubio is going to play a ton of minutes too. I don't mind if you want to look at Ricky Rubio at his price at 5,700 on DraftKings. It's 4,800 on FanDuel. Again, stupid cheap. I don't mind if you want to play Rubio and Noel together. I think that is perfectly fine option as well on FanDuel. If you want to stack these guys up, they should play, alongside each other, and then also play all the point guard minutes. So Anthony Edwards as well, 6,500 on FanDuel, going to play a ton of minutes. 6,500 on DraftKings. Played 37 minutes last time. Went 10 for 22, 40 fantasy points. He's a guy we can definitely look at. 40, 32, 36, 35 over his last four. Again, he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot as well. So he's a guy that we can look at playing. I don't mind playing him either if you want to play two of these guys. He might even have more upside than Rubio, even though Rubio's cheaper. The minutes are going to be there. He's 0.88 fantasy points per minute for the season. Rubio's 0.91, so they're very similar. Rubio's only going to play 28 to 30 minutes, and Edwards is going to play 35. So now in DraftKings, they're a little bit closer, which it's a little harder decision. On FanDuel, though, they're like 2K apart. So I can see it's a little harder decision there. But you're going to want some of these guys. We didn't even talk about Cat. Cat's 9-6 on DraftKings, 9-1 on FanDuel. We haven't seen the big ceiling game out of Cat in a while. I don't know if we're going to see it. 29, 32, 33, 32 minutes. I just don't think we're going to see the massive games out of Cat anymore. And at that price, I'm not going to keep going after it. I'm not going to do it. There's plenty of cheap centers on the slate where I don't need to take a shot on Cat. So he needs a big ceiling game to pay off that tag anyways. Even if he puts up 50, he's not hurting me. He's got to put up over 60 for him to hurt me. And we haven't seen that all year. I'm just going to keep fading it and then just look at these guards. Edwards. The value is in Noel, Edwards, Rubio. Layman's getting the start. He's 3,500 on FanDuel, 3,500 on DraftKings, 23 minutes. If you want a 3K guy, he's the kind of guy you're looking at. 23, 26, 30 minutes over his last three, 18, 20, and 23. That's some of the guys we can look at here. That's about it. But again, Noel, you know what? We must throw Edwards in this lineup just for fun. We'll throw him in. I do like you can play Edwards at guard or forward. We'll throw him at the forward spot here. There's different ways you can go, of course. But I think you're going to want a piece of this Minnesota-Portland game. I'm going to build around Toronto for sure, just with how shorthanded they are and going up against Charlotte. And again, this Minnesota-Portland game is probably one of my favorites because that Sacramento-Atlanta game is great, but they're all priced up. I think there's some value on this game we can look at. Let's head on to the last game here. We have Indy at... I'm sorry, this ain't the last game. Second to last game. We have Indy at Phoenix, 221 over under. Phoenix favored by 6.5. Karis LeVert, man. We're going to see some Karis LeVert finally. Thank God he's healthy, got his surgery. It's going to be his first game. I don't know how many minutes they're going to play him. Again, first game for him playing. I don't think they're going to run him out there a ton. He is super cheap over on... now they have the out symbol here, but he's not out. He is 7,100 on DraftKings. That's a pure fade for me. On FanDuel, he is 3,900. You can make the case to play some LeVert on FanDuel shooting guard at 3,900. But I don't think he's going to play more than 20 minutes. If we get signs later in the day that says he's going to play, if there's a 25 minutes, oh man, he's going to be a smash play at 3,900. Full fade on DraftKings though at 7,100. Don't touch that. Looks like Cam Johnson's still out for Phoenix and Devin Booker's probable. But again, Karis LeVert's the big one here for Indy. That'll shake up that whole offense when it comes to usage. So we will have to pay attention to that. I think it's going to take Lamb completely out of it for sure. But then it's going to take some usage away from Sabonis or Brogdon because LeVert is a playmaker, man. He does some things. So again, FanDuel play only. I really wouldn't play him unless we know minutes going on. DraftKings complete fade here. Sabonis 9.5 on DraftKings, 8,900 on FanDuel. I don't mind Sabonis with how his minutes he plays on FanDuel. Not so much on DraftKings at 9,500. I'm not paying that. Brogdon had the game of his life last night, back to back. Played the Lakers last night, 6,600 on FanDuel, 7,500 on DraftKings. 35 minutes. Shot started to finally fall. Took 20 shots, shot 60% from the field. 48 fantasy points last night. Again, he hasn't been showing that lately. So again, FanDuel play for sure at 6,600. I don't mind him on DraftKings at 7,500, but you'd have to again get rid of the Lowry here in this lineup that we're kind of building. So not going to be too excited about it. Turner 50. I can't play Turner. There's too many centers on this slate for me to look at Turner. And if I'm going to play him, it'd generally be on FanDuel where I get the blocks because that's where he's going to get his value at is the blocks. TJ McConnell, 5,200 on FanDuel. 5,800 on DraftKings, still put up 24 fantasy points. The minutes were down to 25. So the minutes have been trending down 36, 29, 25. And he's priced up where he needs close to 30 minutes. So I'm not going to be anything on him either. So not super excited to play that. I think we're just gonna leave it at that. I don't think I'm gonna play anyone on Indy here at all. You can always look at Justin Holiday at 4,900 on DraftKings, 4,600 on FanDuel. He plays a ton of minutes. More of a FanDuel play for that small forward position that's pretty weak, but I don't like it, man, especially going up against Phoenix. Going to just kind of stay away here. The total's low. Phoenix is favored. I'm going to stay away from Indy. Over on Phoenix side, I would have loved some Chris Paul at 7,600, but with Booker probable to play, I can't get there. I'd only play him if Booker was out. But 7,100 on FanDuel, 7,600 on DraftKings. Someone that I would have liked if Booker was out, but Booker probable no. And I ain't playing Booker. 7,900 on DraftKings, 7,700 on FanDuel. Just a 1.08 fantasy points per minute for the season. Like, that's not going to get it done for me. I can't go there. Not super excited about it. Again, Ayton, can't play them. I don't want any Ayton here. This whole team, I'm not excited about playing. They run a deep rotation as well. You know, they'll run 11 guys out there and not even blink. So I like these teams that are going to run tight rotations and don't have a ton. That's where I'm going to focus. That's why I like Toronto. You know, even or guys that are going to bring me value. Like I can't get here with these guys. Bridges 5,300 on FanDuel, 5,400 on DraftKings. Maybe Bridges on FanDuel, on DraftKings. I can't get there. Crowder 4,700. Again, they're just all these minutes are not there. Like Bridges is going to play a ton of minutes, but he's only at 0.84 fantasy points per minute. Like, is he really going to crush? I don't think so. So this whole game is basically a fade for me. Low total. You know, if I was going to take a shot on anybody, it would be Chris Paul. But that's about it. Let's head on to the last game of the night. Dallas at Denver, 226 over under. Denver favored by 2.5. JaMychal Green is questionable. RJ Hampton's questionable. Gary Harris is questionable on the Denver side. We should have full go on the Dallas side. So the Unicorn Porzingis, 8,300 on DraftKings. Over here on FanDuel, he is priced at 7,900. Great price on FanDuel. Not bad on DraftKings. I just don't like playing the Unicorn. But, you know, 1.23 fantasy points per minute. I like him more on FanDuel than I do on DraftKings in this slate. I would much rather go to guys like Powell and Lowry. And the centers are just, I like the cheap centers today. So I'm not going there. Luka 10-6 on DraftKings, 10-4 on FanDuel. Not super excited about playing him, but he's always going to be in play. Always have massive upside. Brunson, we played the Brunson burner the other day when those guys were both sitting, and he did really well. I think it put up 37 fantasy points when both those guys sat. 38 fantasy points in 36 minutes, and he was a core play by far. Again, you can't expect the same amount of minutes. He's probably going to be down to the low 20s, mid 20s minutes, and at 5,900, I can't go there. Hardaway, Richardson, all these guys are priced kind of a weird price point. Don't love it a lot. I like Hardaway's price still on FanDuel at 4,200, 5,200 on DraftKings. He's just overpriced. On FanDuel, I do like it though. I think there's meat left on the bone there. You know, especially if he gets hot, he comes off the bench, so he's not fighting for usage with Luka and Porzingis, because that's whoever starts with those guys, man. No one else is shooting the ball but those guys. So like Richardson's value goes way down with that. I don't love him at all. 4,900 on FanDuel, 5,300 on DraftKings. I can't get excited about it. So that's a no for me. Over on the Denver side, it's Jokic, man. Jokic just continues to freaking put up numbers. 62 fantasy points last night against Memphis. Ended up squeaking one out, 103 to 102. The dude, three assists shy from a triple-double. He's just been so consistent and just a smash all year. You know, again, another damn center that I have no problem playing. Dallas is horrendous against the post bigs, and he just love Jokic. 11-7 on FanDuel is expensive. If you're spending up, I'm probably going to go down to Baines, but if you're spending up, man, Jokic is always going to be in play. 10-8 on DraftKings, again, always going to be in play. I just tend to like these cheap centers, but tournament options for sure. Jamal Murray, 7-7 on FanDuel, 8-2 on DraftKings. I think he's a little overpriced here, but we know he can put up a 50 bomb at any time. And Dallas is horrendous defensively, so I have no problem attacking any of these guys, even on a back-to-back. Michael Porter Jr., 6,700 on FanDuel, 7K on DraftKings. A little overpriced for me, but, you know, great matchup, so I don't mind him. The thing with Porter Jr., his minutes could come down if JaMychal Green does suit up. And if Gary Harris suits up, that's going to bring down Barton a little bit here, 5,200 on DraftKings, 5,600 on FanDuel. So two places that I don't absolutely love. So once we start getting these guys back, you know, Millsap is back in the rotation. If Green comes back, it's just going to dilute all this usage, and I'm not going to be super excited about playing any of them if that's the case. So yeah, I'm gonna stay away. I think it's Jokic and Murray for the most part. not a whole lot of value on this team with these guys getting healthy and coming back. So, keep that in mind as we go through and build your lineups. So, to recap here, just looking at things, I think that the best option is to, focus on this Toronto game on both Fanduel and DraftKings going up against Charlotte. Take some of the Minnesota value. And then piece around after that. Those are the two guys I look at, and then just piece it around after that. So let's head on over to FanDuel real quick and build us a lineup over here so I do not forget, as I do at times, and kind of feel out where, the lineup construction is going to go from a cash perspective, maybe some pivots off of it. I talked about this. Toronto, I'm going to be extremely heavy on these guys. And so I did when we were looking at it. Baines, 3,900. He's going to be in my lineup for sure. Norman Powell, 7,600, still too cheap. Lowry, 8,400, no problem running him. Boucher. Like I said, I don't have no problem running 4 of these guys. You still have 66.80 left. I have no problem running all 4 of these guys out. They're all going to play. Lowry and Powell are probably going to play close to 40 minutes in a close game, which Vegas expects us to be a close game. Charlotte favored by 2.5. Boucher can put up massive numbers any point in time. And Baines, again, with no Siakam out there, he's been playing 30 minutes. Doing really well. So really like him here. I'm going to lean on this a little bit. There's other ways we can go. There's a lot of cheap point guards to go for PG2. There's spend ups I like too. Like we talked about, Lillard's in a great spot against Minnesota. He could smash here. Love that. Love playing him. He would be my favorite spend up out of the bunch here. Then we talked about mid-range. I don't mind Fox going up against Atlanta. Murray's be unowned at all, and Dallas is horrendous defensively. Brogdon, had coming off that decent game, but against Phoenix, I don't love it. Can't play the Brunson burner. But we talked about Ricky Rubio, right? And we talked about Noel. Noel's super cheap, 3,600, and he's going to play a ton of minutes. Let's throw Noel in this. I think you could go up to easily Lillard. If you're going to play in cash, you're probably going Lillard. Lowry I like a lot. But I like this 3,600. It opens some things up. Then in this mid-range here, I kind of like Anthony Edwards at 6,500. Again, this Minnesota value. Now you're left to 7,700 per player. So we can come over here at the power forward position. We can play the old Zingas here. We can play Jeremy Grant against Brooklyn, which I don't mind that at all. I have no problem playing him to pair him up. I think this is a spend-up position at power forward for me. Like I said, Bobby Boucher, Jeremy Grant, the old unicorn, the old Saboner, Giannis. All these dudes are all in play, and so it's which one that I pair him up with in cash. Giannis should be able to dominate Washington, but I don't know how long that game's going to stay close, and I don't know if you need to go up there. I think there's upside at a Grant, upside at a Porzingis more than those other guys. So I lean one of these two guys here. Zingas is probably your cash guy. Grant's probably your tournament option. We'll throw Grant in here as a tournament guy. We've still got around 8K left. So the small forward position is very weak. So for me, it's going to be a spend up position. I think we have the money to do it if you're paying down for a Baines and you're not spending up. So you're looking at, for me, Gordon Hayward or Middleton. I think both are in play. I think Hayward's minutes will be there. If you want to bring back a Charlotte piece, if you think that game's going to stay close, it's probably Gordon Hayward. If we looked at his game logs, only put up 28 fantasy points against Detroit, but Minnesota put up 55. So he's got monster game in him. Middleton's been one of those guys that can disappear at times. Just 2 nights ago against New York, he only put up 19, but 41, 35, 36 before that. My big problem with Middleton now is there's no minutes restriction on Drew Holiday anymore. So that kind of screws things up. So I'm going to lean Hayward right here. But again, you can come down here and you can look at Porter Jr. And Barton. But again, I talked about that going through DraftKings, that we are worried a little bit about those guys coming back and them getting healthy. So not going to look at that. And then shooting guard, again, 8,600 kind of leaves us in this range where we got a Booker. We got this. Beal, love Beal. But it kind of puts us in a weird situation, a weird spot if we kind of go here, which this is not going to fit so well. So maybe this is where we look at it and be like, okay, well, maybe this is where we take Noel out, we put Lillard in here, we get rid of him, or maybe we come back here and we do look at Noel, but we pay down at that small forward position, maybe save some money a little bit here. Maybe we go Beal and he gets hot from 3, and then he carries them, and then we got 5,600 left, and then we can look at maybe Will Barton. And in our last piece, again, I don't mind Bridges, Barton, or Anthony in the last piece here. So this is kind of how I would see first look at building lineups. Again, Beal's coming off a horrible game last night, 19 fantasy points in 28 minutes against Philly, just got stomped. So maybe it's a good bounce back game at low ownership. Horrible matchup against Milwaukee, but if they're ever going to stay close, it's on his shooting. So don't love it at all. Don't tell me I love it at all, but he would be the guy I'm looking at. But again, I think what I would do is I would build around these 4 guys, maybe 5 guys. I like Edwards a lot at 6,500. And again, I like Noel at 3,600. I think it's way too cheap, but there's a lot of ways you can go. So this would be my kind of cash core I would build around right now. Kind of one at each position and build around with it. So with that, I appreciate you hanging out with me. I hope you have a fantastic Saturday. Again, if you're not a member of DFSArmy, we have a new coach on board, top 50 player there, Coach S111. Got a lot going on. Changed the cheat sheets up a little bit. We've added a few more old style sheets to our new ones. So if you remember being around last year where we broke down, had some confidence plays and write-ups on each player, we have that now. So we've changed a lot, improved on what we did. We had 5 or 6 100K winners in the first half of the season. We look to continue that success with our members in the second half here. So head on over, join up, use promo code CashGig, and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's win some money on this Saturday, man. Appreciate each and every one of you, and see you on the flip side. Deuces.